Welcome. Today what we're going to do is we're going to gather some branches for a traditional dream catcher. There's two things that we use for the dream catcher ring, and one of them is the birch tree. Uh, Try to gather the birch tree branches probably in the spring, because as you get it later into the weather or later into the season in the fall, they'll get brittle, and so you can't really bend them. And so anybody that may be down back east way or towards Vancouver, Cache Creek, your guys' birch trees are probably still pliable where you could bend the branches. Right now we're in the fall here, so most of our branches on our birch tree are really brittle and they're hard to bend. And one of the ways that you ID the birch tree, and this is a paper birch tree, and the way that you do it is it's got these little catkins all over it like that, these little lines. But the main thing that I do is it looks like paper hanging off of it, right? And we as Gitsan people, we used to use this as fire starter, but the reason that we use the branches off of the birch tree for prayer sticks, and when we use it as a prayer stick as well as dream catchers, we try to get up as high as we can into the mountains so that it'll be closer to the creator for the strength of the prayer stick or the strength of the dream catcher, right? But if you can't get up in the mountain, the bottom of the valley ones are just as good. There's no reason not to be able to use it. Some of you guys may be urban. No problem. It's making the intent. That's the most valuable thing. If I was living out in the wilderness and I went to a birch tree in my community, well, I'm being lazy. I'm not doing it proper. But if I'm living in Vancouver, Prince George, or a city, and I don't have wheels to be able to get out there, but I know my neighbor has a birch tree, I know there's birch trees growing along the sidewalk, it's more the intent. But always make sure you do a prayer before you gather those birch trees, even if they're just laying on the ground already. It's the prayer is the most important part. And when you do the prayer, if you wear a headdress like myself out in the wilderness, always make sure you remove it. And that's mainly because there's a soft spot on the top of our heads, and that's our direct link to the Creator. That's why when we're born as babies, it's a really round, perfect circle, and that the Creator can communicate to us really clearly. And throughout our lifetime, society and parents and all these other things kind of close it off by little white lies, they call it, or don't say this or don't say that, or they just show you a negative way of doing things and you start to do it. That's when that all closes off, right? And so with the prayer, you got to be kind of prayer specific of what you're going to do with it. And I'm not going to use this as medicine, but I do want it to share its magical powers, its spiritual powers, and healing powers. Even though it's going to be made with a dream catcher, I still want those values to come with me, right? And I always use my left hand when I do my prayer, because our heart's just a little bit on the left side. Also on our left ring finger, our left ring finger. I'm just holding it for now. Our left ring finger, there's a nerve that goes directly all the way from that finger right to your heart. And it's the only nerve that doesn't spur off anywhere or do anything. It goes directly to your heart. And so for me, when I do prayer, I feel as if I'm giving my offering from the heart. That's why I do it with my left hand. And so when I'm going to do my prayer for the birch tree, to the birch tree, I offer you this sacred mixture to show my gratitude and appreciation for giving up part of your life so that I may use you only in a sacred way while making dream catchers. I ask that you share your magical powers, your spiritual powers, and your healing powers with whoever may need you. I also ask that you assist the dreamers in keeping only the good ones and washing the nightmares away, as well as learning the lesson that those nightmares may have came to them to give to them, so that the nightmares may stop. For all these things, I thank you. Oh. And then from there, what I do is, if I had a pair of snippers, try not to rip them out. Try not to rip it out. It's just like as if if you have a little piece of skin hanging on your fingernail and somebody rips it out, hurts like hell. Whereas if you get something and snip it off, it's not bad. Well, these have feelings too. And so try not to be ripping it off if you can. And what I like to do is I'll go to the base, I'll just snip it off like that, right? It's a nice green one, you can see it. Now, if you're down south, it's gonna bend really easy, right? But because we're in the winter time right now, and I'm gonna do another video with red osier dogwood, the other material we use for the DreamCatchers. So what I do here, and if it's a warm day, it's gonna be really easy. I just bend all those together, or I take them off, either or. And then from there, I'm gonna bend it around like this. Oh, look at that, it's worked. This is so cool. Just finished trying it how many times, right? And so now I have, the traditional DreamCatcher wasn't perfectly round. Life isn't perfect, right? And so the traditional DreamCatcher, and instead of ripping that piece off here, I just wrapped it around, make it look cool. No other reason, right? And so now that I have it like that, I have it like this. All I need is a little piece of string, tie it together, and once I have that tied together, ta-da, I have my DreamCatcher. Now, if you get out here early in the morning, and you'll notice that we're out in the wilderness now, if you get out early enough in the morning, you'll see webs all over the place. And what I would do is, let's imagine there's a web right here in between these two trees. What I would do is grab my DreamCatcher and I would stick it right on the web. And that web's gonna wrap itself around. And then, ta-da, I have my DreamCatcher, the traditional spider web DreamCatcher, right? Now, if you wanted to make yours more rounded though, that's totally doable as well. And what you do is kind of break the branch a little bit, like just make sure that it's ready to be bent. And once that happens, then you just wrap it around like this. See how I got around? Now I'm gonna go like that. And when I start making the web of this one here, the half hitches will hold all that together. So don't worry about too much of these are flopping out or whatever the case may be. You just have to, once you start doing the webbing in here, it'll hold everything together, right? And then you have your DreamCatcher. You got somewhere to hang it, and it's a traditional one. Thank you very much. Hi, hi. And remember, laughter is the best medicine.